This episode of Sewing Out Loud is sponsored by The Confident Stitch. Go to sewhere.com/confident to get 15% off knits all through the month of November 2018. That's sewhere.com/confident.
Welcome to Sewing Out Loud, the official podcast of ZD Sewing Studio. Here are your hosts, ZD and Mallory.
Sewing Out Loud. Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm Mallory Donahue.
And I'm ZD Donahue.
And today we're going to talk to you a little bit about the RhapsoTee Pattern.
Oh, I'm glad you told me because I forgot.
I just told you.
I know, but I
and then
forgot.
I just told you again. ZD's distracted as usual. I come up here and I'm like, let's record a podcast. And she's
making a Wonder Woman cape.
She's sewing something.
I'm actually making a cape that can be worn with Wonder Woman or Captain America.
I was going to say, is there like a
Uncle Sam? Or I'm making
Uncle
it,
Sam cape?
I think. I'm
well,
just
all right.
making it patriotic.
Okay, that sounds good.
It can be worn on the 4th of July.
Just 4th of July cape to catch on fire with your sparklers,
yeah,
right?
But
yeah.
I mean, we'll talk about
this will just melt.
We'll talk
this
about
is all
who's,
polyester.
We'll talk about who sets whose family on fire.
That might be a worthwhile tangent to go on. That's pretty entertaining.
Yeah,
story.
It's pretty entertaining.
Okay, we're going to wax rhapsodic about the RhapsoTee pattern. You spell that RhapsoTee. It's supposed to be a really well-fitting T-shirt, right? When you follow our instructions. So the RhapsoTee is in the spirit of the Floozy Doozys. We've drafted out several sizes of our pattern and then included several landmarks on the pattern that have body measurements on it, right?
Yes.
So we were trying to create a T-shirt pattern and drafting guide that allowed people of all different shapes and sizes to get a well-fitting T-shirt.
Right.
Yes. And what's one of the biggest problems we see in T-shirt land, like with people?
I think it's shoulder width.
Shoulder, yes.
Is that the right answer?
I think that's right.
Okay.
Especially, well...
So what happens
right.
is, in order to fit our circumference a lot of times, when we're purchasing a T-shirt, right, ready to wear, the shoulders will wind up too wide.
Well, yeah, I mean, they can.
I would, if our circumference is what?
What I was going to say is
okay.
it's the problem is not just back width. It's bust or chest circumference in relation to shoulder width.
Well, right.
Back
It's
width.
the circumference in relation to where the shoulders are placed.
Yeah, like where that proportion goes. So, I use a pattern drafting book as a reference when drafting these patterns, and a lot of people talk about it in the group. It's called Metric Pattern Cutting for Women by Winifred Aldrich, and it is like a textbook.
Right.
It's published by Wiley, which is like a textbook, publisher, and it is just so interesting to look at how these patterns are drafted.
It's arbitrary. They sort of...
Yeah.
Yeah, they measure people and like a pool of people, and then they decide like, okay, most people's waist is 11 inches below their, an adult's waist person, their waist is 11 inches below their arm's eye or something, which is not always true.
Well, and, we came across that bodysuit pattern in the book, remember? And some parts, so a bodysuit, when I'm talking like a leotard sort of looking thing, it was like an undergarment. And I was kind of looking at it for reference for underwear and stuff. And like a lot of the panty part of it was drafted based on like bust measurements. It was like a third of the bust measurement, da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, well, I know for sure that a lot of people's bust measurements do not proportionally correspond to their, crotch area.
I was actually, I'm getting ready to make myself some more leotards because I'm wearing mine out. And I actually just was kind of looking online. I don't know if it was Pinterest or what, but I went to their sizing chart.
Mm-hmm.
In the hips, I wear an extra small.
Yeah.
And in the top, I wear a large.
There you
so
go.
I have no idea what I would order, honestly, from these people. I guess you would order a medium and hope
really
like
going across the size
yes,
range. Yeah.
yes, I go from one extreme to the other.
Well, and I just saw.
Now, that's a stretch fabric, so,
Sure.
you have a lot of leeway, but still.
I just saw an article from another sewing blog, and it was like, hey, do you make your T-shirts or not? And it wasn't like an argument that they were putting forth, but it was sort of like the topic of their blog post. They were saying, some people say, I don't really need subtlety of fit in a T-shirt, and they're so cheap that I just buy mine.
Right.
Or I love the subtlety of fit I can get in a self-sewn T-shirt. So,
Well, and some retail T-shirts fit some body shapes
people
better.
differently.
Or sometimes you can find a brand and you're like, this fits me pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll come back here and buy some more plain old T-shirts.
Right.
Like, especially if you feel like it's a good value for you and you don't have to make them, or sometimes even it's like a color or something you can't find the fabric that you want.
So I thought that was interesting, and when writing like the instructions for the RhapsoTee and we've done some live videos, which we'll link to. I put those all in a blog post.
Right.
They're on YouTube. I actually have done this already, Sam. The blog post is there. You can just link to it. I promise. So T-shirts are normally drafted, and the T-shirt block in this book, metric pattern cutting for women book, it's drafted from the bust down. So you get, a bust measurement, and really everything kind of comes from that bust measurement. The arm side,
the shoulder,
that upper part comes from the bust measurement, and then the lower part, it just goes straight down,
and it's shaped like a T,
That's where T-shirts came from, right?
That's become almost a misnomer,
yes,
because we refer to anything that's sort of a knit shirt, that has maybe that's. Really, almost any knit top. Everybody's saying this as a T-shirt. And they're not.
Yes.
They're not anymore.
And we kind of don't have. I don't know if we have another word. Of
course, when I think a true to form T-shirt would be like a man's, a traditional man's white undershirt that you buy.
Yeah,
right?
And normally, well, like you just said, so a lot of traditional where the T-shirt came from, it was an undergarment. So it was really close fitting.
Right.
And, me personally, I don't want a T-shirt that I wear as an outer garment, like as my just, like what I'm wearing right now, or what I would like go out into town with or whatever. I don't want it to be like super duper skin tight.
Right.
There are different degrees of tightness that I like for different times, like in my life, like workout clothing.
Like if you're working out, you might want it a little bit tighter or something.
And everybody
closer to your skin, whatever.
Everybody has different preferences, for sure.
Some people wear T-shirts very form-fitting.
Yes, and they like that. But an undergarment, you might not be so worried about the subtlety of fit,
That's right?
Because there's going to be something else over it. It's sort of there to protect your clothes from
or an
sweat.
Extra layer of warmth or something.
Yeah. So anyway, that's where, the T-shirt came from. That's why they're drafted this way. And then that also can explain to us why a lot of times people are dissatisfied with the fit of a T-shirt when they put it on, because they're not, they as a person are not shaped like a T.
Well, and the other thing is when you say falling from the bust, if that's the largest measure, or the largest measurement of the shirt, maybe. Then when it gets around your hips, even if your hips don't even have to be bigger, but you need some ease there that maybe isn't in there. Maybe it's just too straight.
Well, because like your hips are a different part. They're a different part of your body than your bust. They twist. You twist. You move.
There's movement.
Might not like settle down the way you want it
to.
Or
somebody might not like that boxy look. They might want it to, go in a little bit at the waist.
So a T-shirt really only has one or two places for you to sort of adjust the fit in that body area, right? Like the two side seams, or where you can sort of get the fit,
right?
So this is why it's not a tailored garment. If you were to even make a knit garment with princess seams, you'd have more opportunities for fit,
right?
So I think that there are some body shapes where, like, if you say you're super duper hourglass,
okay,
and you want like a really super close fit to your body, I think it might benefit you to use something that's got some more seaming in it, like than a normal t-shirt.
Right. If you really want something close
And that's
fitting.
what you do for your leotards, don't you?
I do.
You use
I do.
princess
I
seam
like princess
pattern.
seams in my leotard. In fact, I even think that I'm on my way to a redraft because I think I need more bust room than I've given myself.
Yeah, and actually, I think that's kind of one of
Yeah.
our next things that we want to look at is doing a princess draft your own blah blah, pattern. Okay, but back to the RhapsoTee. So we've given what we've done here is we have you choose the top half, the top third of your shirt, maybe
Right.
above the bust and chest area.
Isn't it basically like the base of the arm's eye up?
Yes, the base
Yes.
of the arm's eye and up is based on your back width measurement. And this is something that we really try to make clear, like how to measure it. Everyone's body is different. You know, as we always say, your first garment is your test garment.
Right.
You know, but up there, we don't want any negative or positive ease.
Right.
We're just going straight across the back. Like if you just laid fabric on your back, it would be the perfect width. And so how do we tell you to measure, Mom?
Well, you had me put two 6-inch rulers, 6-inch wide rulers.
Yeah, like quilting rulers.
Quilting rulers, like a grid ruler. And you had me put one under each arm's eye. Right?
Under my arm. What's that called? It's not an armpit.
Your antecubital space. Oh no, your
I've totally forgotten.
Now you mean your antecubital's at your elbow. Your axillary. It's your this is your
axilla. That's what you made us call it. Okay, under my
This is your axilla. Yeah. Like Attila, only axilla.
Okay, there we go.
So you get your Attila rulers. No, you get your axillary spacers. I don't know.
Okay.
Right. So you get these rulers, put them under your arms, put your arms down, and they should be under your arms. Now you could do this with a thin book, something else like that. Magazine would be good.
You don't want something too wide that makes your arm kind of go out too
far. And you don't want to have to clench the holy heck out of it either.
You want to stand up kind of at ease,
right?
Like erect but at ease, so that you're not pinching your shoulder blades together or hunching forward.
Right.
We just want that, nice, very neutral back there.
Right.
And so you measure between those 2 points. So yeah, the rulers, depending on how you're holding them, they could kind of flare or...
Right. So you want these absolutely perpendicular, to the floor and to your body.
Yeah, so that you can measure between those 2 points. And
okay.
I must say,
okay.
the illustration in the instructions is very good.
I have to say something that I thought was kind of weird. I was listening to something on TV and somebody said, this was like a home improvement show, and they said, so, how do you decide which way to lay planks in your floor?
Yeah.
Right? And she said horizontally as when you come in the room. And I'm like,
huh? Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah, they'll be on the horizon. It's what direction is the plank? To me, you would have to say perpendicular, right, to... no, do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Horizontal doesn't make sense to me.
You would hope they'd be horizontal too when you walk in.
Well, yeah.
Not vertical.
Horizontal, everyone, refers to horizon,
right.
Which means it's parallel to the floor.
So what my dad taught me is that you lay them according to how the light comes into the room.
Right.
Parallel to that longest.
Usually it's the long...
longest.
We have almost always lay it parallel to the length of the floor,
right.
the longest length,
long way.
Right? But when she said the horizon, I was like, What do you?
And if you think that we haven't laid more than 20 floors, you're wrong. We have laid so many floors.
Laid a lot of floors.
We're standing on one right now.
Let's see. I'm almost 66 years old, and I think I laid my first floor when I was about 17.
Yeah,
so,
there lots of floors. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes.
I just thought it was weird. I thought it was a poor description.
Yeah, and the way you
because
say...
horizon or horizontal is not a reference
I
to
agree.
a flat floor. I
agree.
don't believe. I just thought it was kind of weird.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. But also, if you think that you'd lay them vertically,
I don't.
That'd be wall paneling.
I think it has to be like parallel or perpendicular
Yes.
to the doorway.
Okay.
That would be what I would say.
So, yeah, good point. So I think the way that you say that, though, that the ruler should be like perpendicular to the body and
Right, you want everything at a right angle.
Yes,
You don't want
yes.
things tilting or going in or going out or flipping in or
But what
flipping
you
out.
really are measuring is the space between those two rulers at
Right.
the point where they touch your body.
Right.
Okay, so that's important. If you measure wrong the first time, you'll be able to see that.
Well, and honestly, as little as 2 centimeters or an inch can make a big difference.
It can. What this defines is
Because it's defining the whole top.
And why I did this was, I think the biggest problem people have when they try to follow a drafting tutorial for a t-shirt is drafting the arm side and sleeve cap. Okay? So
Yep.
I wanted to make it so that part was taken care of for
Right.
people. Now, I'm going to probably say this a few times in our sewing lives and over the years, but knit sleeves are super forgiving to put in and to draft.
put in, yes.
And,
But they're not particularly...
but you can screw
But
it
they
up.
don't particularly look all right if they're in the wrong place.
Yeah, so I wanted just to draft those for people. And have that put in place. So that does define your arm size. It does define the neck width as well. And you can change that, though.
Now, neck width can always be changed. And neck,
Absolutely.
and the depth of your,
Neckline.
your neckline, all of that can always be changed. What will be on the RhapsoTee will be sort of the minimum
Right.
of, how big the neck hole needs to be.
Right. And if for some reason you have like a really slender neck or something.
Or a really big head. A
or
lot of people have
whatever,
really
you know?
big heads. I have like a little head. Some people have really big
You know
heads.
who has a little head? Lindsay.
Yeah, Lindsay has a little head.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, that's all defined. And the reason we did that, it's all shaded in on the pattern when you get it, is because I wanted that arm side and I wanted that
Because
sleeve
that is
cap.
definitely people's challenge.
Yes, done. You can get this pattern at sewhere.com/patterns. Okay, so then we move on. Get this, everybody. We skip a bust point
That's right.
when we're drafting. Okay, and we go to the waist. So you measure your waist, and then you find your point on the
Right.
pattern. Now, we drafted this waist with 10% ease.
Right.
It's positive ease. Okay,
And that's
ease means
not
positive
very
ease.
much.
It's not a ton.
Nope.
It's not everyone's preference, but
Right.
I think starting there is a
Well,
good thing.
And I reiterate from what I have said in the past, the first time you make a garment, it is your muslin, right?
Yeah.
Or your trial garment.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. It means, oh, yeah, this does fit snug here. Or, oh, this fits perfect here. Or what. That's why we suggest you trace when we're on Team Trace.
Oh, you have to trace
And
this
this one,
pattern,
actually,
too.
you have to trace. Yeah.
Or I guess you could not, but
Well,
that would be so
you're
terrible.
you draft.
You're drafting, yeah.
What you're
drafting.
doing is you're laying down tracing paper over this. So what you have, very similar if you've had the Floozy Doozys pattern, is you have these templates that are laid out
They're, like,
in
nested.
succession.
Mhm.
Right. And you're laying down and you're deciding which template, which area of which template is best for your body.
And I just want to say, okay, so next you choose the hip.
Right.
All right. And then before we go on to the bust, I want to say that this pattern's drafted for knit fabrics. And like, what does knit fabric mean these days, right?
Well, that's true.
There are so many knits out there. It's unreal with different percentages.
I have
of
somebody out there
spandex.
going to purchase some fabric right now for what he thinks. I'm scared he's getting the wrong thing, and I've just talked blue in the face about it. But
Well, I guess what I want to say
Right.
is a few people have already made a couple of RhapsoTees, and they were
Right.
like, oh, well, out of this fabric, I didn't have to take anything up, but out of this run.
Right.
Okay, I want to tell everyone, when I'm making any garment, I'm like constantly trying it on.
Right.
And there might be some fabrics where I'm going to go slimmer
Yes.
or not, depending on
Right.
my preference. So
Right.
just so you know, that's something that you might do. Well, you want to do it with everything you make.
Right.
So, like, say you get your RhapsoTee and you start putting it together. You got the shoulder seams, you got the
Right.
side seams. I'd go ahead and try it on.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I would try it on.
Actually, a lot of times I do the shoulder seams and then
And sorta-
I kind of slap it over myself like
And
it's
just
an
see how
apron or
it's
something,
going.
right? And say, are these going to be okay? You know,
Because I'm wearing a crushed velvet, like velour from LA Finch Fabrics right
Right.
now. in the t-shirt, and it fits really nice, actually.
Yes.
And then I used this cotton spandex of unknown origin, and it's fitting.
Did it get tight on you?
No, actually, for some reason, it's much boxier.
Oh, how funny.
It's kind of stiff.
I would have thought, oh, it's boxier. Okay.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I completely understand it. But on that one, I'm actually going to end up slimming it up a little bit. So this is, when you're working with knits, sometimes they can be so forgiving, but also just let yourself know it's okay. You can mess with it.
I would imagine this has happened to people too, where they go into a retail store and they buy a t-shirt and they buy a medium and they loved it. Right. Mm-hmm. And they bought a yellow t-shirt and now they're like, well, maybe I need a green and a pink one too. Mm-hmm. And they go back and they buy the same size and guess what?
Doesn't fit.
Just doesn't fit quite the same. And there's just so many factors in there.
Sure.
Like, it wasn't cut the same day as the other one. It might not have even been cut in the same factory. It was sewn by someone different. The dyes react differently on things. Now, most of the time, it's going to be pretty close.
Right.
But sometimes you'll go, why is this medium so much bigger than my other medium?
Or it was like at the bottom of the stack when they were cut, and at the top. So anyway, the waist and the hips on the RhapsoTee, when you find your hip measurement and you find your waist measurement on the drafting guide, it has 10% ease to it. So let's take a break and let's come back and go back to the all-important chest and bust measurement that can sometimes make or break the fit of a t-shirt. This episode of Sewing Out Loud is brought to you by The Confident Stitch. You can shop fabulous fabrics, useful notions, and a wide range of indie patterns that you don't have to tape together at their brick-and-mortar store in Missoula, Montana, or online at their easy-to-use website. The Confident Stitch has everything a modern garment stitcher could want, and a staff who understands why we love to make our own clothes.
Through the end of November 2018, all knit fabrics from The Confident Stitch are 15% off. No code necessary. Go to sewhere.com/confident to start browsing their collection of knits. You'll find art gallery fabrics, linen, wool, organic soy blends, and even some knits without spandex for you natural fiber purist.
Their organic soy cotton spandex blend is perfect for t-shirts, and I'm also super intrigued by their wool rayon blend knits for cozy cardigans. Remember, go to sewhere.com/confident during the month of November 2018 to get 15% off fabulous knits at The Confident Stitch. You'll be as delighted as we were to discover this excellent resource for high-quality sewing supplies. And if you're local to Missoula, Montana, stop in for a visit.
Thanks, Confident Stitch!
Sewing out loud. All right. This was the most challenging part of the RhapsoTee to systematize. Is that the word?
I have no idea, but there you go.
If Mom were to come to your house, CD were to come to your house, she'd draft you a t-shirt pattern, and she'd be like, you need a boob bump. And
That's
she'd
right.
be like, you don't need a boob bump. And she just has this way of, like, knowing, and...
or you might know you need a boob... You might know you need a boob bump because when you buy t-shirts and at retail, and or even if you've made a t-shirt out of a pattern, and it seems like it fit... up in the shoulders, and maybe even up in the higher, part of your chest and your back. And then it got to your boobs and it just like pulled and there were all these lines and, it was just too tight. And then it wound up too tight across your back. But yet then, you go down and it's okay in the waist, right? And it's okay in the hips. So it's only snug around your boobs.
Right. So a lot of this, I would say,
or your chest.
Probably one of the biggest problems that that happen with t-shirts because of their lack of subtlety of fit.
Right. And I even have t-shirts that look okay on my back.
Yeah.
But then I have all the pulls and folds across in the front.
Yeah. So boob bump is something that we would add to a t-shirt. But to systematize this or to put it out on paper, we were sort of we were really struggling on how to tell people whether or not they needed a boob bump. Do we base it on band size?
Right.
Do we base it on the overbust? Da-da-da-da. So anyway, what we did was we plotted the points.
And when she says band size, she's referring to bra.
Bra band, yeah. So what we did was we included the bust measurement, of course, and it's got 10% negative ease.
Right.
Okay. So that's where that is. So then you're going to plot your bust point after you have a side seam right now.
Right.
Okay. You've plotted your arm side. You have a whole t-shirt actually,
Yes.
without
yes.
sleeves.
You
You've got
have a
your
t-shirt without a boob bump.
Yeah, and no sleeve yet. We haven't
Right.
done the sleeve. So neckline, shoulder seam, arm side seam, and your hem is there, But now you get to determine whether or not you get a boob bump, and this is a great starting place. Once again, this can be different on different fabrics. You have a frame where you have bust projection that you need a boob bump like on every fabric.
Oh, yeah. Right.
I think there are some people who might sometimes be able to get away without one.
Sometimes they don't
some
need one on a
stretchy
t-shirt
fabrics.
because they have
Yeah.
that stretchy fabric. That's right.
So plotting that shows you that if your bust measurement lies outside that side seam,
Right.
you get to make yourself a little bump. So what does the boob bump do, Mom?
It acts as a dart.
Yeah.
It gives you more fabric in the chest area or in the breast area. It acts as a dart. That's all it does. You're cutting out more fabric, and then what happens is you're actually easing it in. It's the same as a dart. In fact, if you really wanted to, you could fold it over and make it a dart.
Yeah, you can make it a dart.
You know.
Because what happens is the boob bump only goes on the front.
That's right. Only the front.
So then you have your boob bump, which there are instructions on how to do this with the pattern.
Because most
glossing
people
over this a
don't
little
want
bit.
boobs on their back.
No. But you get this boob bump on the front and you ease it in.
That's right.
So there's more fabric on the front and it gets eased in. Now, like you said, if you wanted to make it a dart, that dart would get folded.
Right.
You would have the volume remaining in the front.
Right.
And that extra fabric gets taken up in a fold. But since
That's
we're
right.
dealing with a knit,
Yeah,
ta-da!
I don't want a dart.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to have a dart.
And I'm going
Right.
to mention Jay. We're just going to call her Jay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Jay.
From Australia. Jay.
Hey, Jay. Jay has an extreme bust
Yeah,
projection.
she has big bosoms, and she's not that, she's not that big around.
I'm
then she
laughing-
has all of this bust tissue.
I'm laughing because we've had conversations
She knows who we're talking about.
in the group and
Yeah.
everything, and we told her, we were like, we were thinking of you. We were
Right.
trying
We
to
talk about you all the
systematize this.
time.
Yes.
Right.
Because we try to think of people who
Right.
have issues with like normal, sizing and patterns or stuff. And so anyway, she's in on the joke or in on the, it's not a joke, but whatever. Anyway.
Well, sometimes it feels like a joke, doesn't it, Jay?
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're like, what is this?
Yeah,
What is going on here,
look
right?
at- what are these doing here?
So Jay, I believe, had like a 50-inch bust
Uh-huh.
compared to, I thought her waist maybe was similar to mine in the 37 to 40.
Yeah.
I'm like a 36. or
Well, and
something.
she's a smaller band size.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
she's not-
exactly.
yeah.
So
Yeah, her back
being,
is small, compared to what the tissue is out front.
Point being, this is the exact type of person who needs some fitting subtlety in a t-shirt.
Right.
And the RhapsoTee actually worked for
Right.
her.
What
You
will
know?
happen with someone like her is if they, have a pattern and they fit the pattern to their bust, they wind up with all of this extra shoulder.
Yeah,
And I'm talking about length. I'm talking about everything. Length,
yeah.
width, everything. And then she winds up too with probably a lot of fabric below that she doesn't need.
I mean, what this is it's an FBA.
I mean, she's top heavy.
Yeah.
That's what we used
what
to always
the-
call it, top heavy.
What the boob bump is it's a full bust
In
adjustment.
fact, she couldn't be a top. She would not spin well.
She wouldn't fly.
She would go over.
in acro.
Yeah,
yeah.
She would, oh no, I didn't
Oh,
mean
you
that.
mean like a
I meant
spinning
like
top?
a spinning top.
Oh, okay.
She would wobble
Yes,
probably.
Yes. So anyway, yeah, it worked for her. So the reason I brought up the inches and like the actual size is because, big busted or needing an FBA, it's not only defined by the size of your bust. You could never say, oh, you have a 50-inch bust, you're always going to need an FBA.
No, that has nothing to do with it. It has to do with proportion. Right.
So, if you have a 50-inch bust, but then you have a 45-inch waist, you might not need it because that's only a 5-inch difference between bust and waist.
Right.
Maybe whatever. So just keep that in mind. Measure, look. You might be closer to one of the quote-unquote straight sizes, or whatever.
I just made a bunch of really close-fitting costumes, and I was included in that, and there was 2 other people. And what was so funny to me is after I took their measurements and thought about them, well, I'm taking them, I don't really think about them that much, I guess. And I got home, and I'm like, oh, I'm so much tinier here and so much bigger here. And like,
sampling.
Everybody was different. Everybody was so different.
I find that very interesting, too.
And it was. And I was like, when I look at them, that's not the perception I get. It's kind of funny.
Oh, I want to talk about Sam's boobs a little bit.
Yeah.
So Sam's pretty full-busted. Like, when she made the cashmere pattern, I think she chose like a larger cup size and was good. So that was nice,
right.
That is included in those cashmere patterns. But according to her measurements, she didn't need a bump. Okay. But Sam's boobs are also very high up on her body. Like, I've got a friend, and it's like, her nipple is almost like where my belly button is. She just has like a long space here from like her high shoulder point down to apex.
Everybody's different, right?
Yeah, she's just long bodied there. And Sam's are very high up on her body.
I think Kim just posted a bra, and she said something. Some people got to talking. I don't know if she said it, but people were talking about how I always have to take my bra straps up, and I do too.
Yeah,
like. What retail makes my cup, they think I have more of a space between my shoulder and my...
Well, I remember my friend with that long space there.
Right.
Like, going bra shopping with her and being like, oh my God, like I have to loosen these all the way.
Right. Like she needs it all. That's why they make those adjustable straps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, Sam's boobs real high up on her chest. So she made her shirt without the boob bump and actually it looked really nice.
Right.
She started to move around a little bit and started to get hung up. So on her, high chest. And so anyway, this is where that muslin or that test garment comes in. Okay, Sam's going to include a bit of a boob bump.
She's going to do a little bit of one. Yeah.
So it wasn't like nutso tight or anything like that. But, and this is in the instructions as well.
Right.
So anyway, that boob bump, though, don't be afraid to do it.
Right.
Don't be afraid to take it out.
I think, what we probably would like to be clear about is if you get the T-shirt to fit in the upper body, in the shoulders above the boob, that's usually where the big issues are.
It's really a great starting point.
Yes, if you get it to fit there, you can start to go any place from there.
Yeah.
It's almost like that's where the foundation of the shirt is. And, if you have shoulder seams that are hanging down off of your shoulders and arms eyes that are,
way
gaping
far out,
and all this, that's what you're unhappy with.
And you're just going to really, it's hard to alter from there a lot, especially when an arm size, it's hard when you cut out, let's say you cut out like a size 8.
Right.
You can't then cut out the size 6 or 10 from that. The arm size is in such a different place in relation to all that the smaller one, okay, you've cut away too much
And then you wind
fabric.
up with a sleeve that's ill-fitting. It just keeps going.
So getting that fit up there, I think, yes, is very important. Now, the sleeve, or did you want to say something before we
Well,
move on?
I guess, there are instances, where people need to think in a realistic manner, too. If you have a pregnant belly...
Yeah.
You may need a belly bump.
Well, that's a great
you might not
point.
need it. Or, there are people who have had renal transplants, and they're on medications, steroids. So not only do they have a kidney in their belly, but they're on medications that make them sort of retain, fluid and weight in that area. You may need a belly bump.
I didn't include that in the instructions.
Right.
Maybe that should be included or put in a blog post. But I was going to say,
Right.
if you do have a belly that is got a lot of projection, like that,
more than the fabric say would allow, or
Yeah.
or the specific measurement would allow.
I think that's a great point. And
Right.
just like if you see a maternity top in the store, they'll have the ruching. I mean,
Right.
ruching is kind of like
It's extra darts.
it's extra. Yeah,
Well,
it's extra fabric.
when I was pregnant, most things were made out of pregnancy things were made out of wovens.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a pleat and everything, or
Yeah.
a gather and everything. And a pleat and a gather, everybody, is a dart.
Yep, it's a way to add
It's a way
volume.
to add volume. So, I could, and a lot of times they would put a pleat because then it could grow with you.
grow with
Right,
you, yeah.
right. They all had a big bow at the neck too. Oh man, it was bad.
Hey, when you get to the end there, I remember thinking, I'd dress in a tent. It's fine.
No, there's nothing.
I don't wanna put-
I remember wearing a tent.
I
That's-
don't wanna put
I had
anything
like
else
two
on.
sundresses that one would go in the wash and I'd have the other one on. That was it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yes, I think that's a really good point. Also, maybe before we move on to the sleeve, I think we talk about this issue of overfitting a lot.
Right.
You need to think about what you want the t-shirt to look like on
Right.
you, and also what it looks like when you're moving. Okay?
Yes. So, you can stand real straight and pretty in front of a mirror,
Uh-huh.
and it doesn't always stay or look like that later. And I have had that happen when I've seen a picture of myself.
Yeah,
I went,
get-
oh, I look great when I was standing straight, but look what happens if I
So let
slouch
me-
or bend.
Yeah, let me talk about the flip side of that coin.
Right.
So I've done that before. I've fitted the shirt to me and I'm like, okay, it looks really good. Okay. But the shirt I'm wearing right now, if I just stand straight up, it looks a little boxy.
Uh-huh.
But if I move around and stuff,
Right.
it settles back down over my
Right.
belly, over my hips, over my butt.
Right.
I'm really happy with that.
Well, and you're
It looks good while I'm sitting
also,
down.
your daily activities are also lifting children and
Oh
things
my
like
God.
that.
And my kids are pulling on the
Yep,
necklines of
pulling
my
on your
t-shirt so
clothes.
bad. Nothing has made me more angry at them than when they pull on my self-sewn clothing. I'm like, dude, stop it.
I made this for myself. Leave it
You can
alone.
throw your food on the floor all you want, but don't,
Don't
pull
touch
on
your
my
mother.
neckline. Yeah, gosh. So anyway, that I had to get a
So,
little.
and I have seen people show us
Yeah.
in illustration, on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Well, oh look, here this, and I can even almost say they're going to be unhappy with it later.
Yeah, they could be. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And pre-wash that knit. If you want a form fitting, you better pre-wash it, and I'd put it in the dryer hotter than what I planned on.
That's what I do.
Yes.
Because I'm really bad at laundry. Okay.
Right.
We all know this. But I had to kind of get a little comfortable with when I stand straight in the mirror and look at this, it's fitting me in the shoulders. And when it skims over my body, it doesn't look like I am a curvaceous Victoria's Secret model because, surprise, I'm not. And I'm not saying, I want to be
Yeah.
real clear about this too, because we've had this discussion in the group a couple times. I'm not saying that everybody wants to look like a curvaceous Victoria's Secret model, but it is kind of this, image, I think that's been burned in my mind by the media. And I kind of always am like, oh, I wish I had a flat tummy and a smaller waist and all that jazz. And really what I've had to do,
well,
I've had
it's
to,
the only pictures you see.
yeah, I've had
Yeah.
to back up and be like, no, that's not how I get happy with my body. Oh, and my mom was always so beautiful. And
Yeah, that was
yeah.
it. That was it. I think it was because I had this perfect body she had to watch,
it's
right?
It's just
That
because
must have been
had
it.
the perfect body.
That
Yeah.
must have been it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I kind of had to get over sort of what I thought I should look like and then how I'm comfortable and how I
Right.
actually want to look. And that's all something you got to kind of come to personally, So I hope everybody
I think if
can get there.
and I think you're really hitting it there. It's not what you should look like.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not even what you want to look like, but what you're comfortable with, sort of in the long run.
Yeah, I would be
Like,
upset, like you said.
I wouldn't mind looking like what's her name, Giselle or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't
yeah.
mind looking like that. It's just not going to happen.
And I would be upset, and I don't think this is wrong of me to be upset if, like, somebody took a picture of me and my shirt was, like, super tight around, parts of my body that I didn't want it to be tight around. Like, I don't think there's any shame or that it's bad that I'm like, oh, I wish my shirt, skimmed
Well,
more.
when I see those pictures, I go, oh, I need to alter that pattern.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
It's okay.
I don't like it that way. And it may have even been something I got a compliment on, but I don't like the way it looks.
Right. Now, and then I have also seen people just rocking, stuff that I can't rock, so, or that I'm not comfortable rocking. So
I see people wear clothes that are tight that I don't know how I would do it.
I think everybody has...
Like, I'm uncomfortable with something that's skin tight.
I think everybody, though...
But haven't you seen people and they look really good? Like, and they look like they like it?
I think we've talked about the news anchors who sometimes, I feel like they look sort of like uncomfortable.
Like they can't move, they have to be at attention.
But maybe it's because, like, their mic pack is in a funny place.
Well, that might be true, too.
So anyway, you can wear your clothes as tight as you want.
You can wear them as loose as you want to.
Yep, and this T-shirt, it's got that 10% ease in the waist and the hips because you could always take it up a little bit if you want to. And like I said, in that one fabric, I'm going to be taking mine up because it looks really weird. It does not look as good as this wonderful crushed velour from L.A. Finch. So anyway, you're going to be working with your... You're going to be psychoanalyzing yourself as you fit your T-shirt as well. Okay, moving on to the sleeve. The sleeve cap is drafted for you already. But what you do get to do on the sleeve is there are instructions and drafting instructions for a bicep bump.
Right.
If you need it.
Right.
Just like a boob bump. Mm-hmm. Now, we did make the bicep, I believe it's got a bit of negative ease. It doesn't have positive ease.
I believe it does too. And the bicep bump also goes on the front and the back. Am I correct?
Yes, it's on both sides of the sleeve. And a few people who said they've needed that have been like, "Oh my God, this is great."
Wonderful. Right.
And that makes me really happy because that is a place. When you start to think about it, sometimes proportions can serve us well, like rules or these sample sizing pools. Sometimes they can serve us well in drafting. And then sometimes I'm like, man, there are all sorts of different boobs and all sorts of different arms and all sorts of different whatevers, So bottom line, you measure and you plot.
That's right.
So, a few people, there's a woman who I was working with, and she actually had, her volume was not up around like the bicep. It's closer to the elbow, where she had larger volume than her T-shirts were allowing for it. And I was like, okay, so we would measure from the shoulder down to where that volume is, ba-boom, and plot that point. And that would just allow the fabric to, go over there nicely. So anyway, that's something else
I
will
tell you, my sleeve, I usually have to slim up.
Yeah.
But not at the cap or not at right where it meets. It sort of has a curve there.
Did you have to slim yours up on this?
I don't remember. I think I did just a little bit.
Did you a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't remember.
I think I actually measured before I actually cut it out, and very little, if I remember right.
And this is the cool thing about knits.
It has
right?
Yeah. I think the one reason I didn't have to slenderize it as much is because it was the right arm's eye.
Yeah, the right arm's eye, and we do have you plot a wrist point too.
Right.
And the other thing that I thought was interesting as we plotted this pattern out was deciding the amounts of ease, and those are disclosed in the pattern, I believe, throughout. And
definitely things you have to think about. You might want to change.
Yeah, it's so.
I didn't have to change anything.
The wrist actually has positive ease. At first I was like, oh, well, will it have an ease? I was like, oh, no, we don't want a rash guard.
And I have a tiny wrist.
So it was just interesting to, decide all that. But I think this can give people an understanding of how they can include sort of tailoring and fit into this
garment. The other thing that this type of pattern does for you, it's this quasi drafting. You've got a pattern and you have to draft some things. It lets you learn about your body.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think it really a lot of people respond with this. Oh, now it makes sense. Oh, now I know. Oh, no wonder those other things didn't fit me. I hear relief in a lot of people's, post.
Yeah. No, it's really exciting. And
Right.
A few people have said this isn't as tight as I want it to be, so they'll tighten it
Right.
up. And then I'm thinking about Mary, who's been posting her RhapsoTees, and they look just perfect on her.
Uh-huh.
I don't think she's had to slim it up. I'm sure she'll let us know. So it's just different bodies, different distributions of fat and muscle, different preferences. And yeah, it's just very exciting to see people. And I want to let people know this is a little confusing. So I'll let people know how you can get this pattern.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So if you are a member of sewhere.com, if you are a Straight Stitch member, the big copy shop file or the tiled, taped together PDF file of the RhapsoTee Pattern and Drafting Guide.
Printed out on your 8.5 by 11 pages.
Or your A4 pages,
Or your
international
A4
people.
pages,
I did it.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't tell people I did that. So if you're a Straight Stitch member, that guide is available to you. And then there are the videos that we've done, and you'll have to listen to us talk. And you could draft your pattern theoretically just by watching those videos, okay? You could, as a Straight Stitch member, you can buy the September 2018 zine. Those are the written instructions for the RhapsoTee pattern, okay? If you're a Backstitch member, you have that zine, and then you also have the printable pattern as well. And if you're a Zigzag member, you actually get the pattern, and you just get it. You have it forever.
Right.
Okay? So, then, if you are not a member of sewhere.com and you just want to make a one-time purchase, you can go to sewhere.com/patterns and you can purchase the RhapsoTee right
How
there.
do you spell patterns, Mallory?
Patterns.
Good.
I got kicked out of the spelling bee because I misspelled pattern in 4th grade.
She was like 8 or something, or 10. Yes.
It was sad, though.
Yes.
And even more ironic today, right?
Yes, very.
Because, we're pattern designers now, Mom.
That's right.
We are.
Once you learn to spell it, then we
Once
can
I learned-
move
yeah,
forward.
That's right.
That's right.
So those are the ways that you can get the RhapsoTee pattern. And, I'm very excited that we've gotten that out. Plans for a raglan. And I don't know how we want to do a princess seam something or other.
Right.
If we want to do a leotard bodysuit, or if we want to do, like, princess seam and raglan or whatever.
Yeah. Well, if you want to do a bodysuit, it's very close fitting
Mom's
versus
like,
versus the if it's a princess seam leotard, there's a difference.
So plans for all of that are to come. And of course, we've given you these instructions for drafting. You can do this for yourself or for anyone else.
Well, right.
Yeah.
Once you have this pattern, you have the pattern for a t-shirt for your entire family, basically. Now, it does not go down to a small children's size.
No, it does not.
The smallest back is 12 inches, I believe.
That's a really good guess, I think.
Right around there, 12 or 13. I know that I was close to the smallest back. But so if you're looking at a toddler, you probably can't do that.
Sure.
But that's all right. The toddler will grow pretty soon.
That's right.
It doesn't take very long, and then pretty soon you can use it on them.
I'd call it like a teen to adult pattern.
Yeah, easily somebody maybe 10, 12 years old might go into it unless you're scrawny.
Like
we have some scrawny people in our family. We got some scrawny
peeps in our family, yeah. All right, so thank you all for listening. We are actually, our Instagram handle has changed.
Yes, it has.
Sewhere.com. Not sewhere.com. It's Sewhere.com.
Just SEWHERECOM.
That's right.
We left the dot out for the Instagram handle.
Yes. All right, everybody. Find us there. Find us on Facebook, which is also Sewhere.com. And we look forward to hearing from you.
So long and so happy.
Thanks for listening to Sewing Out Loud. For even more expert sewing advice, visit sewhere.com.